My name is Audrey Offit, and I'm 33 years old. I still remember the exact moment my entire understanding of my family shattered. It was a Tuesday evening, the kind of quiet night where you're just tired from work and all you want is to eat something warm and sleep. My phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. A video message from my Aunt Renee. No text before it, no caption after it, just a video, sent to me by accident. That would change everything I thought I knew about the people I had spent years silently sacrificing for. I almost didn't open it. I almost just set my phone face down and finished my dinner. But something made me tap the screen. And the moment it started playing, I felt the air leave my lungs like someone had pressed both hands flat against my chest and pushed. It was a family gathering. My mom's living room. I recognized the gray couch, the fake orchid on the shelf, the framed photo of my grandmother on the wall. Everyone was there. My mom, my Aunt Renee herself, my Uncle Wes, and two of my cousins, Tabitha and Ford. They were laughing, passing around drinks, completely comfortable. And then I heard my name. Audrey thinks she's something special now, my mother said, rolling her eyes with a smirk that I had never seen directed at me before, or maybe I had, and I just never had proof. She sends money like it buys her a crown. More laughter. Renee leaned forward in her chair, shaking her head. She's always been dramatic. Honestly, she's a pathetic failure who got lucky with one job and now acts like she saved the world. A pathetic failure. Those words landed in my ears and didn't leave. They just sat there echoing. Uncle Wes nodded slowly, swirling his drink. She should be grateful we even let her feel needed. Without us asking her for help, she'd have nobody. She'd have nothing to do with herself. She should be grateful. Tabitha laughed, throwing her head back like it was the funniest thing she had ever heard in her life. I set my phone down on the counter. Then I picked it back up. Then I set it down again. My hands were shaking. Not from anger, not yet. From disbelief. Pure, raw disbelief, the kind that hollows you out before it fills you with fire. Because I had been paying their bills for 3 years. Not occasionally. Not here and there when someone hit a rough patch. Consistently, month after month, I had been sending money home. My mother's electricity bill, her car insurance, the water bill that she kept saying she'd handle but never did. Aunt Renee's credit card payment twice when she called me crying about collectors. Ford's phone plan because he was between jobs for 14 months straight. Tabitha's rent deposit when she moved apartments. Uncle Wes's medication copays after his knee surgery, because he said the insurance didn't cover enough. I had never said no. Not once. Not one single time had I told any of them that I didn't have it, even on the months when I was budgeting down to the dollar myself. I ate plain meals. I skipped things I wanted. I told myself it was what family did. I told myself they appreciated it, even if they never really said so in a way that felt genuine. I told myself the love was there, just quiet. It wasn't quiet. It was absent. The video was 4 minutes and 22 seconds long. I watched the whole thing. I watched my mother call me naive. I watched Renee say I had no real friends and that was why I clung to family obligations. I watched Ford laugh and say, "She'll keep sending it. She always does." And they all nodded like that was simply a fact of life, like I was a vending machine they had figured out how to work. I had spent 3 years making myself smaller so they could feel bigger. I had skipped vacations. I had avoided talking about my own career wins because I didn't want anyone to feel bad about asking me for more. I had convinced myself that my worth to them was in my usefulness, and somewhere deep down, I think I had accepted that, because the alternative, the truth that they didn't actually respect me, felt too painful to hold. But now I was holding it. Right there in my kitchen with a half-eaten plate of food going cold beside me and a video still frozen on my phone screen. My family's laughing faces paused mid-joke about me. I was finally, unavoidably holding it. I didn't call anyone that night. I didn't fire off a message. I didn't forward the video back to Renee with a furious caption. I just sat down on my kitchen floor, back against the cabinet, and I let myself feel it. All of it. The betrayal, the grief, the humiliation, the strange dark relief of finally knowing the truth. And then I started thinking about the next payment. Because it was due in 4 days. For 4 days, I did nothing. I went to work. I answered emails. I made coffee in the morning and washed my dishes at night. From the outside, I looked completely fine. But inside, I was running calculations, not math calculations, not the kind involving dollar amounts, though those were there too. I was calculating 3 years of silence against 4 minutes and 22 seconds of video. I was calculating every birthday I had worked through to make sure a bill got covered. Every time I had said, "Don't worry about it," when someone thanked me half-heartedly before immediately asking for something else. Every time I had convinced myself that family was worth the cost, no matter what the cost was. The payment due date arrived on a Saturday morning. My phone lit up at 9:47 a.m. It was my mother. I let it ring. Then Renee called. Then Ford sent a text that said simply, "Hey, you good? Just checking in." The same text he sent every month, like clockwork. Within 24 hours of the day he knew money usually moved. I had never noticed the pattern so clearly before. I noticed it now. I didn't send the payment. I sat with my coffee and I didn't send a single dollar to anyone. By Sunday afternoon, the calls had multiplied. My mother left a voicemail saying she was worried about me and that things had been tight, and she just wanted to make sure everything was okay on my end. Renee sent a long message about how family sticks together through hard times, and she hoped I wasn't going through anything difficult alone. The tenderness in their words would have worked on me a week ago. It would have made me feel guilty, responsible, needed. Now it just made the picture clearer. I called my mother back on Sunday evening. I kept my voice steady, because I had practiced. Not a script exactly, just a decision about who I was going to be in that conversation. She answered warmly, asked how I was doing, said she had been thinking about me. I let her finish. And then I said, "Mom, Aunt Renee accidentally sent me a video a few days ago. From the family gathering at your house." Silence. Not a long silence. Maybe 3 seconds. But in those 3 seconds I heard everything. The recalibration, the panic, the rapid internal search for a foothold. Then she said, "Oh, Audrey, you have to understand, people say things when they're just relaxing, it didn't mean." "You called me a pathetic failure," I said. Not loudly. Not with my voice breaking. Just clearly, the way you state a fact that doesn't require decoration. She started explaining. The explanation involved context and tone, and how I couldn't understand the full conversation from a clip, and how Renee had always been dramatic and sometimes the group just vented and it wasn't serious. I listened to all of it. And when she finished, I said, "I've been paying your bills for 3 years, Mom. The electricity, the insurance, the water. I've never missed a month. I've never made you feel bad about asking. I've never told anyone because I didn't think it was something to announce. I just thought it was what you did for people you loved." She was quiet again. "I'm not sending the payment this month," I said. "I'm not sending it next month either. I need to take care of myself, and I think it's time you all figured out how to do the same." She said my name. She said it twice, the way mothers do when they want the sound of it to function as an argument. I told her I loved her, and I meant it, because loving someone and removing yourself from a situation that diminishes you are not opposites. I had just spent 3 years believing they were. I made the same call to Renee. Hers was shorter. She tried to laugh it off at first, called it a misunderstanding, said I was being sensitive. I told her what I had told my mother, clearly without cruelty, without the satisfaction of watching her squirm, because this was never about revenge. It was about truth. She hung up before I finished my last sentence. That told me everything I needed to know about whether the relationship had ever been mutual. Ford never called back after his Sunday text went unanswered. Tabitha sent a 3-paragraph message 2 days later about loyalty and how I was tearing the family apart. I read it once and put my phone in a drawer for the rest of the evening. The weeks that followed were quieter than I expected. Quieter than I had ever allowed my life to be, actually, because I had spent so long filling the silence with other people's problems that I had forgotten what my own life sounded like without the noise. It sounded like possibility. It sounded like mornings where I didn't check my bank account with dread before someone called. It sounded like the specific freedom that only comes when you stop performing love for people who were only ever watching the performance. I didn't become bitter. I made a deliberate choice not to. Bitterness would have meant they still had a claim on me, just a different kind. Instead, I became honest. With myself first, and then slowly, carefully with the people who had actually earned a place in my life. My Aunt Renee accidentally sent me a video of my family calling me a pathetic failure while I'd been quietly paying their bills for years. She thought it would disappear into the wrong inbox, forgotten. But some mistakes crack things open that needed to be cracked open a long time ago. The next payment was due. I kept it. Every single dollar of it. And for the first time in 3 years, I slept through the night without my phone on the pillow beside me, waiting for someone to need something.